Well, I don't think we're going to be going crawling for a bit. The usual spot, Roxburgh, just up the road, Zillman's Crossing. That's probably 6 foot under. Yeah. Actually, right now, because of all of this, it might be a good time to have a chat about a different topic. See, he's in the workshop. Hey everyone, RC40 man. Obviously, way too wet to go crawling. I've got an umbrella, but I'm not that keen. Anyway, it gives me the opportunity to have a bit of a chat about depression, suicide, anxiety, all those sort of things. Now, I just want to stress I'm not an expert. I'm certainly not trained in anything like that. There's enough professional services out there like Lifeline, Beyond Blue. There's a number of them, and at the end of this, I'll put some numbers up there, and that way, even if you haven't got a pen, all you've got to do is just come back to this video, and the numbers will be there. So, yeah. So, just to give you an idea, me personally, I've had a few things that have caused a bit of trauma in my life, and with that comes a little bit of a psychological scarring. What I mean by that is, as in, it affects the way you think, and when you come under, whether it be pressure, mine's actually pain. I've got a disease called Murray-Charcot's. It's a degenerative disease of my nervous system. So things that everyone else takes for granted, like for example breathing, I can't rely on my nervous system to make sure that happens. So, for example, when I sleep, some people have sleep apnea. They have obstructive sleep apnea. They use the little machine that puts air pressure in. Well, I've got central sleep apnea, which is when I go to sleep, my brain signal to my diaphragm to keep moving in and out. Says, oh, "You're going to sleep, are you?" Sounds like an idea. So I use a machine every night to make sure that I can sort of. It's actually funny. Ever since I started using it, I started dreaming again. And that enabled me to get a lot more sleep. Anyway, the whole point of this sort of situation is it can come from all sorts of places. It can come from all sorts of directions. It can be a financial burden. It can be relatives. It can be your job. It can be new things happening around your home, a car breaking. Loads of things can load you up with stress. But if there's a couple of things that I can think of now, for example, the very first one that I can ever say, regardless of whether you're having any sort of a horrible thought or you're just feeling down, is to make sure that you get your breathing in check. And when I say breathing in check, I'm not just meaning by just sitting there breathing. I want you to actually concentrate for probably up to a minute, but I just want you to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Now, I don't want you to do it fast and hyperventilate, and obviously you'll work out. But that's a tip that I know that helps me. So all I'm going to do is just show things that I've found that help me, and hopefully if there's a few of you out there that are having a bit of a struggle, a few of these things might stick with you too. There's a big main point. No one ever died from an anxiety attack, okay? People have felt really fucking horrible, pardon the French, but no one's ever sort of died from having anxiety. Like, I know it's easy to say, look, it'll pass, it will, and all these sort of things. Like, when it comes to dealing with these things, unfortunately, it's a horrible thing to have to go through, but you have to, because that's how the black dog and your brain sort of works against you. Now, what happens there when the black dog arrives, you've just got to, right from word go, you've got to try your best to, pull your bloody head in. He's not going to go away for a bit. He's going to always be hanging around. But you just got to learn to sort of take charge of your thoughts and don't let the black dog take charge of your thoughts. Now, as I said, breathing. It's important. If you just do it for like a minute, just might seem silly, but hey, it helps. After a minute of that, I know that I'm feeling more at ease with the breathing side of things, and I'm not, like, everyone knows to breathe, but when you're stressing out, you might actually hold your breath for a bit there. You might actually take smaller breaths than you would have normally. So focus on your breathing. Next one I'd like to say would be you need to have something that you can virtually immediately utilize to help you in the direction of getting back to feeling good. Um, I'm not too sure what every individual person's individual thing is. What I found was uh, since not being able to work and replacing my work with something to occupy myself, like the rock crawlers. Um, when I was at my worst, I actually travelled around with this in the car. It's a little 124th, sort of just like the real deal there. She's got does all the flexi stuff. So if the missus was in the shops doing some shopping and I was on my own in the car, uh, I'd sort of jump out and sort of go and urban assault the nearest garden bed I could find. Just took my mind off things, and it sort of took me to somewhere just for a little while that is somewhere that I enjoy going. So that's my way. At that time when it was quite severe, I tried everything, and I asked questions, and I talked to a couple of really good psychologists. That's where I got a lot of tips from. A few of them I just sort of like worked out, sort of like myself. But hey, any tip, if you can add them all together and come up with the depression survival guide, it doesn't matter where the tips come from as long as they work, and you can think of the ones that are going to get you through. So, in your case, it might be a photograph. It might be a photograph of a new baby to the edition. It might be a photograph of your partner, family. It could be your bloody four-wheel drive that you put a whole heap of money into. You might have just bought a really nice, sort of car, and you're proud of it. You might want to have a photograph of the dash, because every time you get in it, you just look at this, So maybe, I don't know, maybe put that as the back screen of your phone. It's just a case of finding out, you as an individual, finding those things that you know that are going to bring you pleasure, and it's going to help you to not sit there and let the black dog control your thoughts. And the more you let that control your thoughts, the easier it is for depression to just grab a hold and to make you feel worthless, and to make you feel scared, and to make you feel like, geez, sometimes, look, it's really hard, and I even think I can really carry on. Well, I'm here to say that that's beatable. It's a lot of hard work, but it's definitely beatable. Now, I can't stress enough. I battled for a fair while, and I had good support. The thing I did, and I'm sort of proud of myself doing it, was I didn't want to feel embarrassed. I didn't want to feel, like a dick, whatever. If I didn't want to feel like a dick, I wouldn't be doing this. Anyway, but I reached out, and the people that I reached out to understood, and it was a huge weight off my shoulders. It's amazing, like that. So you see in the cartoon strips the old patient leaning back on the thing, and the psychiatrist has got the notepad, and you sort of get a laugh out of it because there's usually a joke, in there. But that actually come from somewhere. That's actually people sitting down because they need a hand sorting out what's going on in their mind, and sometimes a few extra pressures, you might not always come up with the right decision, So reaching out, that's sort of one of the biggest things. Now I'm just going to take a bit of a break here. Just want to go and get myself. I've got my iced coffee in there. Love my iced coffee, but even that's too much. But we'll talk about that. So I'll leave you with a couple of pictures of some trucks and some things to look at while I just grab my drink. And obviously, we'll talk some more soon. See you soon. All right, and we're back. Okay, it's important too, as I was saying before, to reach out. Now, by reaching out early, and when you're feeling down, sad, scared, all the things that come with anxiety and depression, don't be scared to reach out. Don't be scared to fill those in that are around you as to where you're at. If they've got some sort of an idea, well, then they can have an understanding of how to support you and how to help you. When a person doesn't understand, um, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but they probably can't help you as much as they could. And sometimes they can become anxious because they're saying, how can I help? How can I help? So, fill, when you reach out, fill somebody in, sort of don't be scared to talk. The more they understand, the more they'll be able to help you. That's another pretty big one. It's you have people that perhaps want to help you. Now, for example, friends. As a hypothetical, if you were to talk to someone, you may not get the response that you liked. You might have them go ooh, and it might be weird and awkward. Now that could be for a number of reasons. The first one could be that your friend is in that boat that I was just explaining, that doesn't really understand and goes, shit, what do I say? You know. So I'm not saying that that's uh, right or wrong, but it is important that if they've got an understanding and you're able to talk to them, as I've said, they're able to support you and sort of help you with, sort of getting back in charge and sort of getting in control. Now, when it comes to depression and anxiety, it can be like a cigarette smoker suffers a nicotine addiction. Um, they have what they call a craving for a cigarette. Now, if you're a smoker out there, well, give up anyway. Don't smoke. But if you're a smoker out there and you wake up in the morning and you've had your cup of coffee and you do sort of like get a bit of a craving for a cigarette. Now, if you're a non-smoker, you probably wouldn't really understand exactly what I'm saying there. You'd understand that, oh yeah, a cigarette smoker has a craving, but you wouldn't actually know what it's like to experience a craving. Now, depression and anxiety is like that. If you've been blessed and you're lucky enough that you've sort of like gotten to the point where you're at and you're doing okay, that's bloody kudos to you. You're obviously doing something right. If you've never had these sort of mental anguish and those effects that you have, it can be hard to understand what a friend or your partner or family member could be going through. So you can help out both ways, by sort of saying, hey, you know what, I'm struggling a little bit, and I'm just wondering, can I have a chat? And you're going to find, a true friend's going to go, yeah, man, absolutely. And then even if they might not know what to say, the more that they understand, well, then the more that they'll know how to help, because they'll know what to do to help. So now talking about coffee, I actually love me coffee. I'll put the brain up there. I love me coffee, and I drink coffee. If I didn't have coffee, I'd probably be a really grumpy bugger. But one thing I've learned, even though I love me coffee, yeah, it's great in the morning. It's a great thing to get me going. I love one in the middle of the day. But around tea time, I'll have a normal cup size now. But whereas before I used to just indulge in coffee all the time. Well, sometimes in some people, coffee can get you wired and actually get you going. But if you're also suffering with a bit of anxiety and you need to be sort of like calming down of an evening and trying to get yourself a good night's sleep and letting your brain sort of turn off a little bit, well, probably the last thing you need is excess coffee. So if you're willing to give it a shot, just if you're a heavy sort of coffee drinker, back it off for a couple of days and see if it helps. You don't have to give it away. There's no way I'd give coffee away. I love the coffee too much. But I understand that sort of me trying to go to bed when I'm sort of like buzzing on caffeine, it's probably not productive. So I did that. I actually cut it out a little while ago. I was drinking way too much, and I have cut it out. And I would have to say, with all of the things that I'm putting together to try and get total control of my mind, well, I'm pretty sure that has helped. So backing off on the coffee, that's another one. All right. Look, I'm not going to just keep on sort of talking because there's more things I can talk about later on that has come to me. But the most important thing is to reach out. Um, don't be afraid to reach out. I'm sure everyone out there's got, that sort of someone, whether it's a family member or a friend or a sibling or a whatever. And if you don't have that, well, then that's when you've got Lifeline, you've got Beyond Blue, and there's several others. And at the end, just when this sort of finishes up, I'll put them up just here. And like I said before, if you haven't, even if you haven't got a pen, that's cool. All you got to do is just come back to the video, and then just get it to this spot, and I don't know, pause it, and then there you go. You got them numbers. Give them a call if you need to. Don't be scared. That's what they're there for. Now that's why I state once again, I'm not a professional. I'm not trained in bloody the mind psychology and all that sort of stuff. I'm just someone that's yep, I've had a bit of a shit time with myself, and if I can prevent someone from having a shit time with a few tips and tricks, well, hey, give it a go. Too cool. Now, just because of all this rain, just this morning, Zillman's Crossing out at Roxburgh, that's my go-to spot. That's where, a lot of times if it's just up the road, so I pop up the road and there's some good areas. But when we get this much rain, it really does flood. And it's been over quite a few times in the last probably 2 months. I think the landscapes there changed probably 5 times. I love it because every time the water goes down, everything's in a different spot and it makes it interesting. You don't get bored. But people are still driving across them. And another chap this morning, I'm not too sure what the go was, but he tried driving his car across and I just, on another thing, I just put the video up. He's watched his car float down. I think he's okay. I think he got out, but there his car's floating down the river. So if it's flooded, sort of forget it. Now, I should have to be telling you because you guys have tuned in to me, and that tells me that you're smart and you're intelligent and you wouldn't do that in the fucking first place, see? Right. All right. Hope that's helped a little bit. There'll be more to come. Keep tuning in, and if you need a hand, sort of sing out. Appreciate the subscriptions. Sort of really stoked about that. It's sort of a little bit amazing. But anyway, I'll pull the pin. I've got some work to do over there on some other stuff. You guys enjoy the rest of your day or night, wherever it is you're watching this. Stay safe. Stay away from the flooded rivers. Like I said, you guys know that because you're intelligent, because you're tuned into me. Yeah, all right. This is RC for me, man. You have yourself a great time, and I'll talk to you soon. Have a look at my beard. It's off to one side. I've just done that whole thing with my beard off to one side.